Coming up, showing ornery cattle who's boss. Sniffing out hidden danger. This Havanese finds toxic mold. And meet a spunky Chihuahua on wheels. Bonnie, a 2-year-old border collie, is a top cattle herder in Colorado. She works with her owner, Jeremy Gingrich, on the Chico Basin Ranch, which at over 80,000 acres is one of the largest in the state. The Chico Basin cattle are grass-fed, but a 3-year drought has taken a toll on the ranch.
We've had to get rid of some cattle, and we can't afford to have as many cowboys either, so that's the way Bonnie helps us out. She's a lot less expensive than a cowboy. She's actually better than some, too.
Several small spring-fed lakes keep a few areas green. Once cows have grazed in the same place for a while, they're moved so grass can grow back. Before sundown, Bonnie and Jeremy will move the herd 5 miles away to a new pasture. Only then can she return home to rest. Bonnie never stops moving. The extreme temperatures make heat exhaustion a real danger.
The heat's a really big concern. Last year we lost a dog to the heat, and to us it didn't seem like that hot a day. So we really try to be aware of that. We make sure around places where there's water, or we carry water with us in a little bowl so the dogs don't overheat.
In addition to the heat, Bonnie faces other hazards. There are 3 kinds of cactus on the ranch, and she tends to get needles in her paws. The cattle often try to kick at her or ram her with their horns, and certain areas of the ranch are full of rattlesnakes. Bonnie knows that horses kick too, so she stays well out of their range. 300 cattle are being moved by 4 cowboys and 3 dogs. Bonnie is the senior member of the dog crew and the key to keeping the cows out of trouble and things under control.
What she'll do is help us get the cattle in a herd and then move them along. And Bonnie will work the back, kind of back and forth. If the cow stops to graze, she'll go up and either stare at it, or if that cow really wants to graze and not move, then she'll nip it in the heels, or maybe even go around to the front of it and get its attention.
Originally from the British Isles, the Border Collie is tops among herding dogs. With their keen intelligence and strong desire to please, they're easy to train.
Bonnie, get her going.
Bonnie controls the herd by giving the cows what is called the eye, a wolf-like stare that asserts her dominance.
They'll just stop, they'll lay down and maybe crouch down and look a cow in the face and just kind of tell her, you better do what I want, or things are going to get bad, or I'll really get aggressive.
Herding is so instinctive, Bonnie doesn't know when to stop.
Bonnie, like most border collies, is a workaholic. They'll actually overwork themselves if you let them. They just don't know when to quit. Sometimes you'll find her watching ants, herding ants across the sidewalk, or herding shadows if she has no real work to do.
Bonnie learned to herd from watching an older, more experienced dog. Now she's teaching her brother Kit. He's a bit larger than Bonnie and has distinctive white markings around his neck.
What Kit used to do is just charge in out of control. He'd see Bonnie going to work on something, and so Kit would come flying in. Now he's watching her, and now he knows when to hang back and just be outside the herd, when to go in and put a little pressure here or a little pressure there.
By 10 a.m., the temperature is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or 35 degrees Celsius. If it were hotter than this, the dogs would be left at the ranch. Jeremy makes sure the dogs take the time to drink water and to cool down. Jeremy got Bonnie when she was 8 weeks old. Bonnie is short for bonita, which means pretty in Spanish.
Bonnie, she got her name because she was the cutest and little sweetheart, and she was a run of the litter, so that's why she's kind of small, but I think she was tough because she always had to fight for what she got, being small. So that's why I picked her, and she's sweet, and she came up to me and licked me on the toe as the first time I met her, so I was hooked. Bonnie and I spend most of our time together. This is the kind of place where a dog's not only a helper, but it's a companion and it's a pet.
Chico Basin cows have been raised to protect their calves from predators like coyotes. The cows see the dogs as predators too.
They'll kick at the dogs and they might turn around and try and get them with the horns. And if you see the dogs, it's amazing how quick they are. They can anticipate a kick and they'll be long gone and far out of the way before a cow even kicks. And so there's a fine line between getting Bonnie to stay back and just use her look to get the cow to change her mind, and sometimes put some pressure on and get in and nip a nose or nip a heel. And so try and find that balance. You don't want to get the cattle too upset, but you also want them to respect the dog.
Bonnie's had a run-in with a cactus. Jeremy inspects her feet and removes the prickles.
How are your feet, Bonds? You probably already pulled them all out.
A few hours later, Bonnie nearly steps on a rattlesnake. Jeremy is forced to kill it for her safety and that of the people in nearby homes. It's the final stretch. Jeremy keeps a close eye on Bonnie.
When we reach our destination with the cattle, there's a big pool of water there, so the first thing that she'll do is go jump in and splash around and take a long drink.
Finally, the cattle reach the new pasture and the fresh grass.
Well, the cattle move fast because we got out early enough, that's one thing, and the dogs did really well. That feels good.
Bonnie's had a long, tough day. Working in the heat takes a lot out of her.
A lot of people have told me Bonnie's one of the sweetest dogs they've ever met, and I think that's true. That's part of the reason why I picked her out. I've told people before that she hates cattle and she loves people, and I think that's part of why she's so good at her job. She really likes kind of taking control of cattle and making them do what she wants.
The family living in this house moved out 2 years ago.
When we first moved in, we were really excited. We figured we'd be here the rest of our life, work our way through each room until it was the way we wanted it.
They discovered life-threatening toxic mold in their home. The Smiths have since cleaned up all visible signs of mold. But it's up to Lily to tell them if it's safe to go back. Lily, an 11-year-old Havanese, is called in when people's health is at risk. Her owner, Sue Balunda, has trained her to detect spores of dangerous toxic mold found in homes, hospitals, and schools. Dr. Ed Montz is an environmental toxicologist and president of Indoor Air Solutions.
Toxic mold basically is mold that has poisonous properties. These toxins can produce everything from damage to the nervous system, the immune system, even the blood-forming system.
They can also cause skin irritations and asthma attacks.
And infections, respiratory infections that can cause difficulty breathing and even a form of pneumonia, which is fatal.
Toxic molds thrive in dampness. When there's extensive water damage, the mold is visible, but it often grows in hard-to-find spaces.
In the cases where it's not so patently obvious, to be able to detect it would require a great deal of destructive testing, where you'd have to cut the walls up. So those are the kinds of situations in which we would call in the dogs.
Lily has one of the best noses for toxic mold in the business. She can sniff out the deadly spores without homeowners having to break down walls. Her skills are a match for canine colleagues several times her size. Lily and her housemates have been specially trained by Sue to detect toxic molds. Tomorrow, Lily has an important house inspection. To keep her nose sharp, Sue does maintenance training at home with non-toxic mold scents.
Lil, all right, where's the mold, Willie? Show me the mold. Show me the mold. Go find the mold.
It doesn't take Lily much time before she discovers the scent.
What? Show me. She scratches, she lays down. It's whatever body language it takes to tell me. It's there, can't you see it?
Mold detection work was a late career move for Lily.
She was about 5 or 6, 7 when I just started to teach her to do the mold work, and she just loved it.
Lily's skill is especially impressive because Havanese aren't known for their noses, but rather for being cute trick dogs.
Give me.
The Havanese is also known as the Havana silk dog. Its long double coat is like raw silk floss and doesn't shed. Sue keeps Lily's coat shaved, so it's easier to care for.
We first got Lily, and my husband would pick her up and he would show his teeth and growl at her. And she thought that was a way to show affection. So now she snarls at you and growls every time she wants to show you that she loves you. Oh. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
2 years ago, Joseph and Angela Smith were excited to move into their new home.
We were ecstatic. It was a big house. We had a room for each one of the kids, a playroom, an extra room, you know. We were going to completely do the attic.
But soon, the dream house turned into a nightmare. 3 months after they moved in, their infant daughter developed rashes and began bleeding from the nose and mouth. The family found a water leak in the basement and soon discovered that the house was infested with 14 different kinds of toxic molds.
All of a sudden, what you think is your safe haven is completely contaminated. You feel violated.
Joseph has spent the last several months working to rid the house of thousands of colonies of mold.
We went in and we took out everything that spores would have attached to or led to a growth and physically removed it from the house.
With all visible traces of mold removed, it's time for Lily to do her inspection.
Come on in, Sue.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing? Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, pup.
This is Lily.
Hi,
Lily.
And basically, I'll guide her into each room and she'll do her thing. Ready, Lil? Go find them all. Come on. When she's on the job, she's all professional. I'm not cute, don't play with me, don't look at me, don't pick me up, don't hug me, because she wants to do her work. And she'll almost looks like she goose steps with her little front feet. flying out in front of her.
Lily searches each room quickly, but thoroughly. So far, no mold. Even though mold only becomes a health threat after lengthy exposure, Sue makes sure Lily's exposure is very brief.
When she hits me like that, and then I ask her to show me, she's pointing in the spot and barking. That tells me that there's a decent concentration of mold there. What a girl! Oh,
Lily is excited about her discovery.
that's my girl. Now, that's her way of saying I love you too. Oh, what a good girl.
Sue is ready with her verdict.
Okay, I think you need to examine this area, either the floor, in the wall, in the crack down there. See, against the wall, and perhaps under the floor.
The Smiths are happy to hear that much of their house is now mold-free.
There's still a little bit of work to do, but nowhere near what it needed 2 years ago. So I think we're both relieved. Ecstatic.
Static. Glad you brought her down.
Thank you. She could never be a search and rescue dog, or she could never be an avalanche dog, or she couldn't be a guide dog for the blind, but she's got a lot of guts, a lot of courage, and she turned out to be my great little scent dog.
Willie, a short-haired Chihuahua, was abandoned in a box on a Los Angeles sidewalk. His back was broken, making him a paraplegic, and he weighed next to nothing.
He had a spinal cord injury, and his vocal cords had been severed. So who knows what happened to the little dog. Somebody found him there in the street, and they took him for help to a local animal hospital, and there he stayed for about a year, waiting for someone to take him home, and nobody adopted Willie.
Deborah Turner owned a pet shop and was known for taking in helpless animals. She heard Willie was about to be euthanized, so she rescued him.
I was charmed by the little dog right away. The first thing that I was really surprised about was to notice that he wasn't a sad dog after all. He was a really happy dog, a joyful dog, oblivious to his bad set of circumstances. He just wanted to play and you know, sleep in a cozy bed and be loved by his new family.
Deborah was determined to give Willie some means of getting around.
I was on a mission to help Willie walk. So, originally, I tied some big helium balloons to the hip area. And to my shock, the balloons picked the entire dog up off the ground. I tried a few other methods, skateboard, skate wheels, this type of thing to help Willie walk, and he wasn't very good on a skateboard. And so finally, I sent away for his first set of wheels. The wheels gave Willie a life. They gave him his mobility and his independence. And once he began rolling, he hasn't quit. He accompanies me everywhere, and his world is no longer small.
Willie began getting contact sores from his legs chafing against the wheelchair. Clothes solved the problem.
Now, once he started wearing clothes, people thought he was so cute. They were sending him clothing. He's got costumes for every holiday, and it's just really fun to see him dressed up. But what about this on a hot day with all the sun?
Willie's positive attitude is an inspiration to disabled children. 13-year-old Josh has spina bifida. He's been in a wheelchair all his life. Kathy Swope is Josh's mother.
Most of Josh's world is fantasy. He spends a lot of time watching TV, watching cartoons, make-believe. I think the real world is so harsh. You know, he has a real tough time. Joshua joined a group called WOW, and I think it helped him a lot.
WOW stands for Winners on Wheels. Willie and Deborah regularly visit this special group of kids. Josh is Willie's biggest fan. The spunky Chihuahua is the smallest breed of dog, rarely weighing more than 6 pounds. Their heads are quite round, with large eyes and big perky ears. They have a long history as companion dogs and were popular among the Aztecs. Willie captures people's hearts everywhere he goes.
Willie is my total companion. He goes with me everywhere. He goes to the grocery store, to restaurants. He's been to concerts. When we fly, he walks right onto the airplane. A lot of people know who he is now that work for the airlines because we're flying around so much all over the country doing presentations with our book in the schools.
Deborah's book is Willie's story for children.
Oftentimes, after an author's visit, one child will come up to me and say, "You know, I can't even see Willie's wheelchair anymore. To me, he looks just like any other dog."
Josh still tends to be shy and withdrawn around other kids, but he's totally different when Willie's around.
Anytime Joshua and Willie are together, Joshua's much more outgoing. Josh is much more excited about going someplace if he knows Willie's going to be there. He doesn't care what we're doing, just as long as Willie is there. And if all the kids are there, he has to be like the center of attention with Willie.
This guy kind of made me feel a little bit more like I belonged in the world instead of being like some outcast or something, or some outsider.
Willie has made it possible for me to make a difference in other people's lives, something I never thought I would do. He just takes life in stride at an easy pace. He's actually taught me I wish I had an outlook like that.